request and welcome Mr. Mrinal Chakraborty, Group Executive Vice President, IT Operations and Head Technology, DTDC Express Limited, to kindly take over, sir.
Just a second, Rashi. There are two people to join in,
Okay.
right?
So how do you want?
Yeah. So we can just introduce ourselves and there are other people also coming in. Hi, Sai,
Yes.
welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone.
I think.
So Tushar is joining in 2 minutes, but I think so we can start and Tushar can join in then.
Yes,
So
fine.
over to you, Mrinal.
Yeah, I guess. Let Mr. Chakraborty take it over. Sir, we welcome you kindly.
So you're mute.
Tushar is also.
Yeah, sure. Tushar being also joined, right?
I think the house is full now.
Mr. Chakraborty, before you start, so I just wanted to inform everyone that whenever a speaker speaks, I'll request everyone to put their mic on mute. Otherwise, it will echo. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tushar. Thank you, Mr. Saurabh. Thank you, Sandeep. And thank you, Fahim, for this opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Rajashri, for this great opportunity over here. So, good afternoon, everybody. I request that, as Fahim said, that you can keep yourself mute, but you can keep your camera on if it is possible, so that audience it becomes, since during this pandemic we can't do face-to-face meeting, at least through the camera we can see each other. So that's the objective. So first of all, I'd like to start with a few good news which has been proposed in our budget. I must say that it has a ray of hope for the MSMEs, for like us, and definitely I just would like to read upon a few highlights before we start the actual discussions. You all must be knowing that nearly 15,000 crores have been sanctioned for MSME segment, which is just the double of the capital expenditure what we did last year. And thanks to our finance minister, Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman, the union budget has some significant announcement for MSME and especially for the startup community. Wide announcement, I'm sure that though categorically MSMEs were aimed to reducing the stress on the working capital, because everybody is holding capital, whatever residual left out. And for startup, it is aimed to rectify the anomaly around the ESOPs, which has been a long-standing wish of the startup community. But the key fundamental point was that the successful implementation and accomplishment of GST, which you all know that record GST collection for consecutive 3 months, which has led to significant benefits to MSME, so that the way they can enhance the threshold and the composition limit. And as rightfully Finance Minister has said, the effective tax incidence is almost every commodity came down substantially. Though it is debatable, but it is to be observed. And we are expecting several rate reductions and annual benefit of nearly 1.2 lakhs crore has been extended to the consumers, which will definitely boost to overall 10% reduction in the tax incidence. Also, GST did has some various challenges, but the council is now well established and the format is now well governed. And good news is that government has added now 60 lakhs new taxpayers, which is very, very encouraging. And total of 40 crores of returns were filed. But which was the fundamental point was that working capital was a very, very big issue for the MSMEs. And Finance Minister has proposed a scheme so that they can subordinate the debt for the entrepreneurs of the MSMEs. And that will be provided by the various banks. By this process, the corpus will be improved. And by this process, nearly 5.8 lakhs MSMEs will be benefited by restructuring their existing debt, which is permitted by RBI last year. And government has proposed to extend the permissions till 31st March 2021. And last but not the least, and a government initiative is a new web-based app and a mobile-based app for invoicing the financing loan options. I think all these are great news for the MSMEs, but 2020 we all literally want to forget. By the way, am I audible, right? Because I'm only seeing. Faham?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you
Sure.
are.
So, by the way, we all try to forget 2020, but it was not so bad if you ask. That's why we have an August gathering over here. We have Mr. Satya Sai Pratyush, who is AVP Product Marketing and Enterprise Tata Tele Services. We have Mr. S. Sridhar, DGM IT, Lucas India Overseas. We have Mr. Sandeep Jamdagni, Head IT, Ashiana Housing. I'm sure that housing sector will get a big boost this financial year. Sunil Gugnani, Head IT, RAL Consumer Products Limited. Mr. Tushar, Head of IT, Prasanna Purple Mobility Solutions Private Limited. Mr. Vivek, Senior Manager IT, Max Healthcare. I'm sure that they are taking care of us well because it's the most thriving sector. And Saurabh Gugnani, Head of IT, PeopleStrong Technologies, because, and that's very important because for that HR and HR related initiative, various bot solutions, what is being in progress. So we'll hear out from all of them one by one. I'm sure that the August gathering will take all possible opportunities to enrich us with their experience of 2020 and how they actually
Yes, sir.
how they actually sorry, there's one more phone call was there. How they actually overcome 2020. There were some great insights. I'm sure that all the IT heads they sailed through this journey for this last 9 months of the pandemic. So I'll request all of you to starting with Mr. Sai Pratyush, that if you kindly introduce yourself for a few minutes and then take it over. I have a few questions for you, and then we take it forward. So over to Mr. Sai.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chakraborty. So I represent Tata Tele Services. My name is Sai Pratyush, and Tata Tele Business Services is an ICT service provider for SMEs. We're a company that is focused on the enterprise segment, especially small and medium companies, small and medium enterprises. Today, we serve close to about 40,000 SMEs across the country. And we provide them with a host of products and services which range from very simple telecom solutions like your internet lease lines or your voice connectivity to more complex services in the cloud services domain. Be it private cloud solutions to Salesforce automation solutions to IoT solutions. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this panel, and it's a pleasure to be associated with all of you.
Thank you, Mr. Pratyush, for the nice introductions. Lovely to see your background. In fact, I also have any bank, they have their big libraries at home, and nice to see the background of those so many books. And since they are not new books, that means they are already in use, and actually somebody has gone through it. I really appreciate that. So I just try to be this discussion a little bit of casual, not to make us very heavy on the discussions.
Sure.
By the way, Mr. Pratyush, how you have seen that your customers have taken the digital initiatives forward during this pandemic, and do you see that? What are your observations?
So it's been a year of learning for both us as well as our customers, obviously, and what started off with complete shock in terms of how do you handle this situation has now moved to this situation is not unsurmountable. It is a challenge, but there are solutions. We've seen customers really react positively. So if I go to the pre-pandemic, pre-pandemic era, if I can call that, there were customers who were hesitant to deploy digital technologies. But post the pandemic, obviously everybody realized that there was no choice, and digital technologies and solutions were the only way they could really continue to survive. In the lockdown era. If we look at broadly an organization, any of our business, any of our customers, there were essentially four areas which were impacted. One was obviously customer interactions. The other was employee interactions, especially in organizations which were geographically spread across multiple locations. The third was the production of the goods and services that organization dealt with, and the fourth was the delivery of that service. So it took customers a little bit of time, but once they made up their minds, they quickly moved towards adoption of digital solutions. So customer interactions continued by adopting collaboration services, whether it's Zoom, whether it's Microsoft Teams, whether it's webcasting platforms like the one that you're using today. So customers started, businesses started adopting these solutions to engage with their customers, including giving demos of their applications or demos of physical products and services that they were providing their customers. The same platforms were being used very effectively for internal communications as well. And there are lots of reports. Everybody, the general perception used to be that these products and solutions, these collaboration products and solutions would impact productivity of the employee, would impact productivity of the organization. There have been some customers who've actually told us that, employee productivity has actually increased because less time is spent in travel. And there are many organizations, including our own sister concern, TCS, which has decided that, going forward, companies will continue to operate a sizable chunk of their employees, from home. I'm not too sure whether, from an employee's perspective, that's an ideal scenario, because employees would imply or suggest that life has become a lot more hectic working from home. In terms of production of goods and services, yes, things were challenging because this required factories, this required office setups to remain open. But we've seen some companies deploy IoT solutions, bring in automation where dependence on people was there. So that's helped them monitor, run factories from remote locations with bare minimum employees on site. The last bit is really an interesting bit, and all of us have experienced this, right? I mean, today you have small SMEs who run bakeries or restaurants surviving only because of these hyper-local companies that are enabling delivery of goods and services. We had a very interesting case of a customer who was manufacturing shoes that was dealing with a problem because retail outlets were shut down. How could he deliver goods to customers? And he signed on with a digital presence organization, which not only set up his shop front online, but also ensured delivery of these goods and services, of these goods to end customers. So I think the situation is definitely a challenge, but digital technologies are a friend to businesses, if I can say that, in ensuring that they not only survive, but they continue to thrive going forward.
Excellent, excellent. I will definitely come back to you with further queries. Let me have a quick round with Mr. Saurabh Gugnani. Mr. Saurabh, you're there, right? Head of IT and PeopleStrong. Mr. Saurabh, you're there? Maybe due to the Saurabh is maybe a little bit of slow network. Hi, Saurabh. Can you hear
Yeah, hi,
me?
Mrinal. Yes, I am. Good afternoon,
Yeah, hi.
everyone. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you.
Yes.
So quickly, a quick wrap, if you kindly, few minutes, if you tell about you and your organizations, and then we'll have a quick chat on PeopleStrong and how they do and how pandemic, post-pandemic discussions or issues happen.
Sure. So I head the IT and security for PeopleStrong Technologies. We are basically a company which has got three portfolios. One is called as VBox, one is called as Tagged, and one is called as PeopleStrong HCM business. So VBox is basically in terms of online test and all, like in the worlds of bids and all, where online assessments are being done. In terms of RPO or Tagged is a business where we do recruitment processing outsourcing, where we work with majors of like Honeywells or the Wipros, where our team do the outsourcing for them. And HCM is basically a PeopleStrong alt kind of a business where we are in the field of HR tech, where we have products in the field of hire to retire. Once a person is onboarded to the person is leaving an organization, we have complete portfolio of solutions in terms of work life, in terms of recruitment, in terms of payroll, performance. And on top of that, we have a product called Zippy, which is a chatbot called a platform, which is being used in the organization in terms of a secure communication. So many organizations use WhatsApp, which is not secure. Many organizations use corporate WhatsApp, which is to a certain extent is secure. But Zippy is a kind of a platform which is secure. Plus, on top of that, it has got attachment to our performance module, where you can have objectives being assigned to it. So it is kind of a productivity management suite which enhances your productivity, as well as it gives you nudges, and also gives you a bot kind of a platform where you can have basic queries around your platforms, like what's my leave status, how many mails are in their mailbox, what's my meeting schedule, and something like that. All that can be done as a business case and can be put forward to you in terms of a AI based assistant to you, which is working for you and making sure that you are connected, you're not missing on your meetings, you are productive, and you are aligning to your OKRs. So all that is kind of a inbuilt solution with Zippy. So these are like major 5 product suites in terms of HCM business in the world of HR tech.
Excellent. Actually, from DTDC, we're also talking to you guys for taking some budgeting proposal, because right now is the budget time. We are using one kind of a HLMS solutions for extensively for last 4 or 5 years. But this 2021, we are planning to move further inroad to an RPA and board-based solution, not only for the employees, but for our customers also. Because we feel that many repetitive work can be well managed by a bot solutions. So we are in touch with you guys over there, definitely is.
Great.
So to come to the MSME and the pandemic situations, okay, though it's become very cliched word now because everybody is using it, but if I ask you as an IT head, if you look back 9 months, because last year this time, people and including maybe the government also, and nobody has any clue that what is coming forward. So how you spent 9 months, how you made your systems process available for the people working from home, and as Mr. Pratyush said that there will be 60% people will be still working from home this entire 2021. So what's your plan or strategy had happened or is going to happen? Whatever you can share.
Sure. So I still remember it was March 23rd, when we were being asked, that, the country is going to a situation of a lockdown and we have to be ready. So we were analyzing the situations because, we have a data center in APEC as well, where we are serving the countries of, in Indonesia, Vietnam, Singapore, and of the world. So we are monitoring all those scenarios and we ensured that, all our workforce was ready before the lockdown in terms of having a end user compute in terms of laptops, because there are certain workforces like payroll. They need pretty high end machines or high end desktops in the office itself to do the payroll processing. And secondly, their dependency on the resources in terms of shared drives, in and out processing was there in the office, and they were habitual to work on the model of coming to office and doing on a desktop. They were not pretty much ready and have not worked on individual laptops where they have to connect from home and every processing has to be done via remotely. So payroll was one thing, nobody envisioned that payroll can be processed from, individual locations, because we serve around, 8 billion of, salaries every month. So that was one
8
thing.
billion.
Yes, with organizations. So that's what we worked with. We ensured that all the organizations teams were ready beforehand. They were having the right set of accesses as a first line of defense, that if I'm a payroll user, I will have those accesses which I had in office only, nothing more than that. Ensuring that the VPN connectivity is being doubled up to ensure that, if on a normal day, if I say that 50 users working from home as a VPN load, that load is going to surge up to 700 to 800 people who are going to work from home because of remote, because we are a product tech company. Every product or technology engineer has to come to my environment to do that. And on top of that, they have to use those resources perspective to the separate tunnels which are created for their workforces. So that was being being done, ensuring that everybody is connected on Teams licenses, a Zoom platform. So everything was being done before March 23rd. We were ready, to be very precise, by March 21, and on our very first day itself we were an organization, we were 100% BCP, and that's something which helped us out. If I talk about numbers, we have online or onboarded around 86 customers remotely. Our customer onboarding teams, our integrations team, everybody was working remotely. Earlier, even the sales were going to meet people. The integrations teams used to go to the offices of the organization, as you said, Mr. Minal, that we are discussing. So everything worked remotely, and we have enabled 86 organizations of this area in this journey of automation of HR tech. So that's one thing, nothing being done as physical. So yes, all these features and all these enablement helped us out to be ready for this year. And yes, there are learnings, there are areas of opportunities for sure, because if I talk about ZTNA was kind of a framework which was being looked across the industry as a terminology. But within this pandemic, people understood that ZTNA has to be there, where you don't trust anybody, or first line of defense has to be being enabled, and you have to ensure that you do not give any access to anyone until unless you trust them. So ensuring that we re-architected our architecture as well, ensuring the best of the class ZTNA technologies on top of what we have, to ensure that no breaches are happening across. Similarly, we went on an envisioning of getting GDPR compliant this year for our products to add more value. So 2020, yes, has given us more insights into enabling our platform more for the sake of the customers as a SaaS based offering. And yeah, that's the approach which we have done. As I talked about Zippy is our chatbot based platform, which is completely secure for any kind of organizational chat. It is based on the groups. So if you move out, you're not taking any data out with me. So because normally you happens that in many organizations you're talking lots of details over the WhatsApp group, and tomorrow if I leave the organization, I have those information, which is kind of an insider information for an organization with me. But on Zippy, you do not send those information out. Once you are added to an organization, depending upon your business, depending upon your work group, you are entitled for certain groups. Once you are out, it is out. So it is kind of an MDM secured enabled application already, which can be used for communications on top of productivity management. And similarly, our platforms of learning and performance management, everything over there. So we also offer our platforms of Zippy and learning as a we care initiative to organizations, where we provided these solutions to organizations so that they can have their workforces enabled in terms of learning if they are not working in offices, just like of VMarts of the world. We give it to them. Similarly, Zippy was a solution being offered where organization can connect remotely in a secure manner. And we also saw a conversions after that. Once people understood the value of these platforms, we also saw as a conversion out of it. So it was a kind of a gesture which we did, nothing in terms of a business prospect, but it did brought us some certain business to back to the organization as a value add. So that was being done. And if you said what's our prospect for next year, we are going to start offices maybe in the month of April or by late May. But the idea will remain the same, that nobody is coming to office completely. It will be a kind of a roster based setup where we have implemented an application as well in house, where we will be doing a seat booking kind of a thing. So if I say that I will allow only 300 seatings in my office, people will have to book that, and according to the seat allocation being done, people will be allowed to come to office, completely transparent on that, ensuring that there is complete governance in terms of health of the people. Plus yes, they will have complete visibility in that if the seat is available, I can book that and I can go to office. So complete roster based structure in terms of governance and health basis. And if I say that it is going to be a 60-40 kind of a scenario for us, where People can come to office as per their needs, if they have hurdles, if they have meetings, if they have any business dependencies, or rest if they are working from home. We have seen this structure for last 10 months. So we are doing pretty neat around it, pretty secure. And yes, we are adding more capabilities in terms of security. So that is going to be our, journey ahead in terms of new normal, in terms of management of work.
Excellent, Mr. Saurabh. Really, really appreciate your frank opinion. I will come back on the zero trust part a little bit later. So let's say
Sure.
hear out from Sandeep. You are there, Sandeep Jamdagni. Sandeep, are you there?
Yeah, yes, Mrinal.
Sandeep, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. I'm
Oh, excellent. So Sandeep, if you can say a few words.
yeah, myself Sandeep Jamdagni, and I'm heading the IT team of Ashiana Housing. Ashiana Housing Limited started operations in 1979 with completing 41 years of customer services, and primarily into the mid-segment residential projects. And we consider ourselves as a pioneer in India for the senior living community projects, building a senior living community. And our tagline is "You are in safe hands." That is a brand promise also, and each and every employee live by this tagline. So the when we say about the pandemic, the COVID lockdown, the two challenges what we faced was that the customer interaction and the how to keep the employees engaged full time. And we did a lots of, you can say, preparation for that as well. Although it was a sudden thing, and to say about the work from home culture in real estate, where the customer is used to, where a customer ticket size is usually 630 to 60 lakhs, in which segment which what we are working. So the lot of physical interaction with customer and the sales executives and sales team is required. And when this pandemic hit it, we were almost, let's say, for first quarter, it was a challenge for all to get the people understand how they can see their property, their projects which are under construction, or if they want to book a new unit or new flat or a new villa, how they can see it online, how they can feel it online. So we did certain changes in our processes, in our site visit process. Sales executive teams were equipped with various gadgets so that they can interact with the customer on the time. And moreover, we can say that within this pandemic, one thing we realize is that the e-commerce and digitalization, that will be the new normal for every business, whether it's in real estate or it's into the services or it's into any product-based company.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So from IT side, if you just tell us a few lines more, that how this security or people who are working from home, how you are prepared or how you face that initial 1 month of time when 23rd March suddenly the whole discussion came that lockdown. We never heard lockdown in our lifetime. So how as an IT head you reacted towards it? If you can tell us a little more on that.
Yeah, means we consider ourselves fortunate, little fortunate that we, in the end of 2019, before the pandemic, we were considering our organization information security posture, and we were doing certain audits with also with internally audits for how much security posture, what is the posture of our organization, and how things can be better, understand how things can be better maintained. And just before the lockdown, we had presented all the reports of the management, and management was also little, you can say, ready to accept that and ready to work in that. So that helped us in putting things, putting the policies in front, building the policies, and also making our employees aware of how to use a VPN, because the people who are working with Ashiana, the average tenure is 8 to 10 years, and within 8 to 10 years, people are used to come to office. From office, they visit their projects and then back to home. So and now all things, this office visit or this site visit or a project visit, everything would be done from home, from their laptop or from their home desktop, and everything would be digitalized. So the VPN was the, you can say, Ramban for us to provide all the applications, also applications which are native in the ERP system or the CRM system. Although we are in process of migrating from our native CRM to the Salesforce, also in the ERP also. But the projects which are already on, which are existing on the native application, have certain limitation to make them online. So the VPN was a thing which helped us in lot. And then the regular weekly trainings to the employees. Means IT team, although we work from the back end, this is the back of the curtains we work. But the thing was that the regular meetings with the employees, regular awareness trainings about the security posture, how to update or check whether their systems are patched properly or not, if any patch issue is there or if any technical issue is there, how they can contact, the customer as well the sales team, which was provided with the laptops and the tabs to provide the online visits where the customer used to do a conference call or a VC call with the sales executive who is sitting at the project and showing them with the camera of their system. Or because we also deployed certain cams on the project so the customer can request us to see the live status of the project as well as the sample homes. So it was a totally a new, can say, a new way of working. People supported, not only IT team, but all process, all the, you can say, the employees shown a patience, even the customers also. Customers were also ready to listen and ready to cooperate with us. Customers were also ready to learn new things also, means how they can. Yeah,
Excellent.
and initial quarter, if we say, was a little tough for us to sell, but after the first quarter, the sales have just picked up, and now we are at a very good position in terms of sales of the new booking and the new construction. Our construction is 100%. We live by the on-time delivery and the projects. Although government has given certain, can say, the discounts also on the timeline part due to the COVID, but we are on our track. Are all projects which were supposed to be completed are getting completed. With construction part, we are above 100%.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. It is so inspiring. Actually, from our side or our side also in DTDC also, initial 3 months was a, if we look back, it's a trauma. Just to give you a number, 23rd March when the lockdown happened, that day we picked up 650,000 parcels. 650,000 parcels we picked up on 23rd of March. And 2nd April, when our management and we all decided that hospitals needs us, government needs us, paramedics, they needs us, because those days, you know, that PPE kit and those sanitizers, suddenly it became, we came to know that what is called PPE kit. Many of us has Googled out what does it mean by PPE. And
Right.
so 2nd April, we decided that we need to hit back the market. The government has locked, but we have taken special permission from various segments, various state authorities. And then we went back. 2nd April, we picked up only 1,000 shipments. From 650,000 shipment to 1,000 shipment to start the journey with. We all know that what MSME and we all gone through during the COVID. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Gugnani, for a deep insights. I'll come back to you once again. We have Mr. Tushar right now, right, Mr. Tushar? Can I get him on board now? Mr. Tushar? Mr. Tushar, can you hear us? Actually, he was struggling, Mr. Tushar was struggling with some bandwidth issue. I think, no, Mr. Tushar, you are muted. Still, we can't hear you. Can anybody hear Mr. Tushar?
No.
No, we can't.
Mr. Tushar, will you mind to log in again if you don't mind? Because we are unable to hear you. Sorry for that. I think Mr. Pratyush, there is a business opportunity with Mr. Tushar.
It's noted, Mr. Chakraborty, yes.
Yeah, you must take a note of it that we need to help him for a good bandwidth. So I'll come back to Mr. Pratyush because since we have limited gathering over here. So if I ask you very frankly, is this now one-way chemical reactions? Means digital is here to stay, or business will go back to old style of doing things? What do you think when you are meeting the customers?
So I think digital is definitely here to stay, because in a lot of areas, customers who were earlier, under the impression that digital will be expensive, have realized that it's not. Earlier, there was a perception that digital is difficult to implement. They've realized that it's not, because the lockdown got announced in March, end of March, and companies were up and running in a matter of weeks, right? So I think digital is here to stay. Productivity has increased. People have realized that it's easier to connect with customers, easier to connect with employees, collaborate between employees, and for a lot of organizations, especially in the manufacturing space, a lot of SMEs in the manufacturing space, they've realized that going digital, is increasing their footprint, is getting them visibility in distant areas where earlier they didn't have a market. So in my view, I think digital is going to stay. There is no going back. I don't think organizations will ever go back to the pre-COVID way of running their operations. I think that is definitely not going to happen. But there will be segments who will use digital more effectively. We'll see that in future, and there will be companies and organizations that might have a mix and match approach, but definitely digital is here to stay.
Excellent. Solid confidence. We have, other than the IT people and other than Mr. Pratyush from Tata Teleservices, we have a CEO whom actually at the day end we all report to. So welcome, Mr. Bhupendra. I know you are giving a patience hearing, and I thought of initially you guys report to actually CEOs and CXOs of the world. So let's hear about our perspective and then take you on board over here. So welcome,
thank you,
Mr. Bhupendra.
I'm sorry.
From Global Nexus. If you have some, am I audible, sir?
Yes, please.
Mr. Bhupendra?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
So if you kindly give us some insights of during this COVID period, being a CEO of an organization, how you motivated your team or how you have channelized your energy and resources. If you kindly give us some heads up, we all will be benefited.
Sure. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and also to GovConnect for inviting me here. It's like this, my company, Global Nexus, we are about 14 years old, and we are in event management. Now, this was one line which was affected very, very badly. In fact, we survived, and we are not a MSME, we're even smaller. We are a small company, I would say, not a medium or a large company. So the survival was difficult, but we thought we'll continue. And fortunately, we continued, and we are there. Yet, we've yet to catch up with the business, because the events are far and few now. And how we coped with our team was from day one. In fact, a week before the lockdown itself, we started working from home. And by the time the lockdown came, we were quite established. And till now, we are working from home. We have a meeting every morning and a report submitted every evening. So each one knows. And what we started doing was, number one is, the basic thing is, of course, that you should be in touch with your client. And if you can get some new clients or the prospective clients. So we, first thing we did was to develop a database. of the clients. And of course, we bought some email IDs. That was the time we had nothing to do, so we bought a lot of email IDs and we started sending out bulk emails. Then earlier we used to have our newsletter, a monthly newsletter or bi-monthly newsletter that we became very regular with, and we saw to it that it was done properly, and it was again being sent to our clients and to prospective clients, where we found that there was some reaction. Employees wise, I found that was the most important thing, to keep them motivated. And so fortunately, right from about June, for first 2-3 months, we had practically nothing, but these things were going on, so they were quite happy that there's a lot of activity going on. And from April, to keep everyone busy, we started off with webinars, weekly webinars, basically to just educate the people, or to inform
Hi,
them
good afternoon,
how
everyone.
to pass the time in during the pandemic. So it was basically all complimentary for our clients and for our friends. So basically, it was telling them about yoga, or the food to be had, or the effects of COVID on business. That carried on for good about 3 months. In the meantime, the employees got busy, understanding what a virtual event is, and that's how we started getting into virtual events. Fortunately, from June onward, in
Yes,
fact,
I
I
can
would
hear you, Vishal.
we did some a wedding on e-wedding, I would say. Then we started, we did a little bit of virtual events for some companies, and since then, fortunately, we've been getting something or the other. And now, of course, hopefully from December, I think November, we started getting some events. So we are still sailing.
Sure, just give me 1 minute.
And if I may take another 2 minutes, I know we are a little short of time. A change is a must, and that we have to accept it. Whether the change is a big change or a small change, a change is a big, and our team realized that we have to be prepared for it. And that's how we prepared ourselves. We have not done great jobs as far as technology goes, because we are not a very tech savvy business. Event management, you have to be on the field, but with all these little things and a few other things like virtual events was the best thing we got into. We are doing it on a smaller scale. We hope to, maybe we are still trying to get some order for exhibition, a virtual exhibition, and hopefully this month we are hoping to finalize one and go ahead with it. Thank you, Mrinal.
Excellent, sir. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thanks for being there patiently and listening us. And I'm sure that wish you good luck. We are all waiting for the injections to come, and we need not to be impatient. But I'm sure that we'll go back post June. Definitely, there will be a lot of interactions. People cannot just sit on idle and sit on the money. It has to come out. It has to be flowing in the market, and I'm sure that we'll have a good life ahead. And you stay well, sir. So over to Mr. Tushar. Mr. Tushar,
Yeah.
can you hear us now?
Yes, yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Okay,
Thank
great,
you so much.
great, great.
Thanks for taking
Good
time to
afternoon.
join us. Really appreciate.
Yeah,
So
it's my
quickly,
pleasure.
if you kind of give us a quick introductions, and then our popular questions, that how last month went through.
Yeah, definitely. See, basically, we are a public transport company established in 1986. So almost 25 years plus public transportation company, and you can name the kind of public transportation, Prasanna purple is there. We have presence pan India. We are into city bus business. We are into intercity business. We are closely working with governments as well as in PPP model, public-private partnership. So as you all people are aware about the pandemic situations which we are still facing, yet not it is resumed. So only 40% of our operations are resumed, 60% are yet to resume. And as I mentioned, we are working with government as well. So it is very difficult to get the due payments from the governments as well. So the best part is the leadership which we are right now having. Mr. Prasanna Patel, who is our chairman and managing director of the company. Basically, under his leadership, basically, the entire team of almost 3,500 people pan India, they have agreed to work with only the COVID incentive. And last 8-9 months, we have not taken any kind of salaries apart from this sustenance amount. So that was the positive sides. Now, since the 50% business are resumed, slowly we are resuming our operations and moving towards the positive parts. And slowly, as you people are aware, the transport is the last sector which is opened. and still the school business is completely off.
Absolutely.
And despite of 20% schools are started, but the government is not, school is not allowing them to come through the public transportation. So employee transportation, yes, in IT segments, it is 100% off because work from home is the culture right now. So it may another take 6 months time to start the employee transportation business as well. So, but yet, yes, we have started certain operations in city bus as well as intercity. In terms of the technology aspects, since beginning, we have a policy that we will not deploy anything in-house. So the entire applications was on cloud. And myself and my team was fortunate to provide the entire kind of support remotely to all the Purple users.
Excellent.
And fortunately, all are happy with this.
Very nice. Excellent. How, since it is in cloud environment and people are working from home and all, what kind of security or endpoint security you placed in, you have done? Because you know that ransomware, all these things are very much, today you know that one of the biggest telecom provider of India is, though they are not declaring it, but nearly 1.2 billion, 1.2 crores data got hacked.
Correct, that is true. Those are the typical challenges which we have also faced, because the first issue was this, the security. Second issue was this bandwidth. With the help of Tata Communications, basically, since we are using the lease line from Tata Communications, so
Yes.
the technology support was provided by the TCL people, and we have routed our this lease lines to all the users basically, and that's how fortunately no mishap has happened at least till date.
Excellent, excellent. Do you have any plan for SD-WAN?
Now looking at the conditions, definitely we say, as I mentioned, we are yet not 100% resumed, and we are facing these cash fund flow issues right now. But yes, in future, if you ask me, definitely we are planning to go for this.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thanks. Kindly be there. If time permits, we will definitely come back to you. Mr. Saurabh,
sure.
Can we get you back, Mr. Saurabh Gugnani? Mr. Saurabh?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah, sorry. I left you at zero trust.
Yes, Mrinal.
It doesn't mean that we don't trust you.
Sure.
How zero trust evolved in your organization? I know it's a big buzz now, what Gartner is talking about for last 1.5 years, 2 years, which came as a very
Right.
sharply on Indian environment, I must say that. Because most of our routers will have 0.0.0.0 to 0.0.0.0 access. Most of the routers are generally configured like that.
Right.
So in your case, how this zero trust, you went ahead and convinced management, convinced users, and without naming any product or something, if you kindly elaborate a little bit on that. Mr. Saurabh? I think we lost him again. I'll come back to Mr. Sandeep. Mr. Sandeep from Ashiana Housing. So
Yes, sir.
on that zero trust, any thought on zero trust? Any thought of endpoint security?
See, with this COVID, as our, you can say, environment, or you can say the perimeter of an organization is now global. Earlier, when we talk about the perimeter of an organization in terms of security, we consider our local area network or our VPN, our branch offices. Now the employee is sitting at their home or maybe at their hometown, and from there they are connecting through broadband, through mobile hotspot, or maybe some are through having the cable modem as well. Where the small non-metro cities where the still internet is provided through the cable modem. So the attack surface, and you can say the perimeter has gone global. Means now your systems are open to everyone. Your VPN, your firewalls, which were not known to anyone, now known to everyone. So the requirement, or say the dependency on endpoint protection has increased. Also, dependency on the end user awareness about the security parameters, about the security of their system, their devices from which they are doing login. It matters. And above all, you can say with all the deployment of EDR systems, if the end user is not properly aware about, not doesn't having any training or any awareness about how to be more secure, or how to identify a website is secure or not, or whether a particular mail is a phishing mail or some other sort of attack is going on in his or her system. So the EDR with the correct awareness training program is the requirement of now, as this digitalization means all your applications are now being accessed through public internet, and you cannot say that you can provide a lease line or a direct connection to your each and every employee home. No, you still have to depend upon the SSL VPNs, on the browsers, on the systems, patching, and patching of the systems on low bandwidth networks is again would be a challenge.
Absolutely. I think MSME will always struggle with their fund, and the
Right.
cybersecurity threats definitely will be a big burden on us. I'm sure that through this audience, through this government portal, we'd like to request to Finance Ministry that if BSNL can be resurrected and a secure VPN for all the MSME can be provided, a security as a layer, if can be provided, then MSMEs can really benefit, because endpoint security yearly spending 10,000 rupees, it's a very big task. Nobody would be able to sustain that kind of market. I'm sure the government must uh, look into that, instead of leaving on to private entrepreneurs. I'm sure that they should create a secured framework. Digital native framework is very much important. A certain budget definitely is important, required, that a digital native secured framework for the government of India, for MSME and for the startup will be extremely important. Otherwise, individually spending, being a CIO and IT head, going to CEOs or going to CFOs will be extremely difficult, because to make them understand this real threat outside of the world. Mr. Pratyush, if you are
Mrinal,
there,
I want to, yeah, Mrinal, I want to, I need to take one more minute. Means from
please.
an IT perspective, being heading the IT department means we are having one of the CEO is also there. So our responsibility is that we should put a clear picture in front of management, and management should also understand about the security postures of the organization, risk about the security, because before COVID, nobody was, rather I can say nobody, but most of the organizations in India, MSME sector, having a very little awareness on the information security part, and they doesn't know about what their security posture is, whether they are exposed to or not, how to provide systems to the end user on internet. Means that most of the, you can say, there are certain portals where you can find the good organizations, good MSMEs, reputed MSMEs. Those systems are vulnerable and available openly to the hackers or attackers.
Absolutely, absolutely. The recent sweet meat manufacturer, or recent pharmaceutical
Right.
manufacturer, the amount of attack has happened, and both these organizations had a multi-layered of authentication and security. Yet they
Right.
became so vulnerable. So I'm
Yes.
sure that government will work very closely with, and an organization like Tata Tele Services must work, create a framework for the MSMEs, so that I should not use the word called cheap, an economical, secured way of doing business. A framework is very important. You just can't leave it on
Right.
to third party
Right.
and individuals. That
Yes,
so that's why I
MSME have,
yeah.
yes, MSME have to build up their skills and their employee skill set as well in that, and they also have to understand that they cannot rely on Tata Teleservices or only on the government. That government will build policy and then only they can do that. I mean, they have to
Yes.
take initiative now, considering the current scenario where each and every member of a family is having a mobile phone. On streets you go, even and richest person or the poorest person is having a smart mobile phone, accessing YouTube, accessing a number of things which are maybe, you can say, matter to him or her or not, but they are watching things.
I mean, just like to add one thing. You see, whatever systems are there, they must, when you make a system, I would say, Tata, TELE, anyone, they should be approachable and feasible. Now, like you said, that you have a customer base of 40,000, and as per the paper, there are 65 million MSMEs. So you see, basically, we have not touched, say, over 60% of but I would say why 95% of the MSMEs, 40%, 40,000 from 65 lakhs is it's a very small figure. And it's not you are getting enough business. What I'm trying to say is, if the product is such that even a basic MSME could understand, he will of course 100% want to buy, and if it's reasonable, he'll pay for it.
I think very well said, sir. It's very important. Mr. Pratyush, before we wrap up, if you have any final comment on digital drive and digital initiative for the customers, what you're seeing?
No, I think both Sandeep and the other gentleman articulated it very well. There's got to be, obviously, they have to be solutions that are available, cost effective, and readily available for SMEs to, subscribe to or avail of. But there's also got to be an inherent, agreement within organizations that the way forward is digital, and one needs to adopt these technologies. Pre-COVID, it's not like we were not selling those solutions. We were providing free trials to customers. We were doing everything that we could do to make the process simpler for customers, for SMEs to adopt these solutions. But there was obviously a great reluctance, right? That reluctance moved or disappeared because of the pandemic. And as you mentioned as well, it shouldn't be that once the lockdown or once we are out of this pandemic, organizations go back to their old ways. So I think it's a mix of, yes, government and enterprise making these solutions available in an easy manner, cost-effective manner, but it's also important for organizations to realize that they need to have a digital roadmap, right? How do you continue operations in these coming years?
Absolutely. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Bhupendra. Thank you, Mr. Sandeep. Thank you, Mr. Tushar. Thank you, Mr. Pratyush. Thank you, madam. Hopefully we had an effective show and a good discussion. Thank you, Mr. Tushar.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Rajashree,
It's my pleasure.
wrap up this discussion. No, you're not audible. You're muted, ma'am.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Yes. So I thank all
Loud
of
and
you and
clear.
each of you, and what a wonderful session that we have had. So this is the last session, and you have already wrapped it up so well, Mrinal sir. So there's nothing much for me to say, but of course, as very rightly all the panelists and the panelists in the earlier sessions also, they have also put a lot of emphasis on impetus on the digital, creating a digital roadmap or hybrid model, collaborative network, and we need to have more partnerships on in the days to come, and then working on each other's capabilities. So this, while of course SMEs are also concerned about bringing a very robust operational processes and integrated management, something which is absolutely on the digital platform, digitalization of the entire workforce, the processes, the performance, and everything needs to be measured and mapped against an outcome, against a set of outcomes. So all these points were time and again talked about across all the sessions today, as I was fortunate enough to have attended all the sessions. And thank you so much for your time and the vision points, the actionable agenda that you all have given us. We look forward to receiving the recommendations in a more structured manner, if it is possible for all of you. and then we take it forward, and we look forward to make a submissions of these recommendations to our stakeholders, to the government and everyone. Thank you so much, all of you. We see you tomorrow again
Thank you
for
so much.
our BFSI track, and thank you. Have a great
Thank
day.
you so much.
Thank you
Really
so
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank
all
you.
of
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Renjen. Thank you. Nice meeting you all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you.